Good afternoon. Thank you very much for coming along to this briefing at Cranley Police Station this afternoon. As you know, police were called to a residential flat at Marlborough House on Granby Way in Devonport last Wednesday, the 6th of February, shortly after midday. When the police arrived, the body of a 76-year-old local man, Michael Brincat, was found lying on the floor. Paramedics arrived a short time later who confirmed he was deceased. At this time, this incident was treated as an unexplained death. However, once the post-mortem began on Monday morning, it became apparent that a forensic post-mortem was required, which was also carried out yesterday. The forensic post-mortem results have since confirmed this is a suspicious death, and as of this morning, a full murder inquiry has been launched, which is being led by the Major Crime Investigation Team of the Devon and Cornwall Police, under the leadership of Detective Superintendent Paul Bergen, who's with me to my left. Based on what we know so far, we believe this is an isolated incident, and we have no information to suggest anyone else is in imminent danger. I would, however, encourage local people, as always, to be vigilant and report any suspicious behaviour to the police immediately. We have local neighbourhood officers carrying out reassurance patrols in the Marlborough Street area. If anyone has any concerns or questions, I would encourage them to speak to my officers. I would now like to hand over to Detective Superintendent Paul Bergen.
Good afternoon, ladies and gents. As you can appreciate, this is the early stages of a murder inquiry, and as such I'm limited to what I can share with you. What I can say is that some major crime detectives and local neighbourhood staff are now making detailed inquiries to piece together events leading up to the death of Michael Brincat. These inquiries include detailed CCTV retrieval, extensive house inquiries, and a comprehensive review of the crime scene. Especially relevant are Michael's movements on Tuesday the 5th of February, when he was last seen alive at about 10:15 a.m. at his home address of 55 Marlborough House. Any sightings of Michael around this time would be particularly helpful. I know the local residents are a tight-knit community, and I'm sure that someone within this community has information relevant to this investigation. I'm appealing directly to those individuals to come forward and help us apprehend those responsible. I expect this to be a very challenging investigation, and we are not anticipating this inquiry coming to a swift conclusion. However, I can say the investigation will be thorough, professional, and we are absolutely determined to bring those responsible to justice. If anyone has any information, no matter how small or insignificant they feel it is, either speak to a local officer or call 101 and quote ED 13718. Alternatively, you can call Crime Stoppers anonymously on 0800 555 111. Thank you.
Okay, I will now take some questions if you have them.
What can you say about the circumstances of Mr. Brincat's death?
In terms of the circumstances of the death, we believe Mr. Brincat's been asphyxiated, but we've got further forensic tests that will need to take place at this stage.
You said as well you didn't want sort of people in the area to worry, which is obviously something that we were all keen to do to make sure people don't panic, because incidents like this are very isolated. I know you can't say too much at the moment, but are we looking at burglary as a motive or something like that? You know, should people be extra vigilant?
I think clearly motive is something that we need to explore as part and parcel of the investigation. And again, we haven't ruled out theft or burglary as a motive. I must say at this stage we have not got a definitive motive. And I think it is fair to say people should be vigilant, but I do also would like to stress that I think that the person responsible or the persons responsible for this probably know Mr. Brincat, or indeed know of him in the locality. I suspect it's a very localised event.
And it's a nice close-knit community there as well, isn't it? So somebody probably knows something, but again, you need to be the judge of what's important and what's not, don't you?
Yeah, I'm absolutely sure that somebody in the locality of Mr. Brincat's home address knows something. And like I said, I would implore anybody with any information, no matter how small they think it is, to come forward and assist us with this inquiry.
You said you think Mr. Brincat was asphyxiated. Are you able to elaborate on that?
Not at the present time, no.
Can you tell us any more about him as a person, background, anything else that might be useful if you're appealing for witnesses?
Yeah, Mr. Brincat was well known in the community. He was an elderly gentleman. He was frail, but he was well known in the locality around Marlborough House. He had problems getting around. He had a mobility scooter, so he would have been known to local residents, shop owners, and people in the immediate vicinity.
Can you tell us a bit more about how he was found? Was he found by a member of the public, or did they alert the police?
He was actually found by one of our local community officers on their sort of general inquiries, and they had to break into the premises when they couldn't raise him, and that's when he was located inside the address.
Have you kind of got anything to go on at the moment that you're able to share?
No, at the present time, I mean, clearly our major lines of inquiries around this are going to be ascertaining Mr. Brinkat's movements, and also, and that'll be done through a number of means, including CCTV, and including a detailed forensic examination of the scene. Like I've already said, I think this is going to be a long-term investigation, and we are reliant on members of the public coming forward and giving us that little piece of information that could greatly assist us.
Why the long-term investigation? What are you saying on that?
Well, I think it's going to be a long-term investigation, in so much as at the present time it's a complicated crime scene. We haven't yet established a motive as to why Mr. Brinkat has been killed, and at the present time we are appealing for witnesses, and we haven't got a lot of witnesses that have come forward at the present time.
Can you say complicated in what way? Complicated crime scene?
Well, only in so much as you know, it is a crime scene, and it'll need a full and detailed forensic examination, which obviously we're in the process of trying to start and complete.
Well, I do think, just to build on what Paul has said there, it's really important that we have the support of the public locally. It is a tight-knit community. There's been a lot of investment, built investment in the neighbourhood, and a lot of work's been done. Strong residents associations and other networks. And we do require that support of the community whilst this investigation continues. I think that's really important.
And I mean, I suppose as well, as soon as you sort of mention the word murder, it does put panic and shockwaves around people, and people speculate. So, I know from talking to officers before, you're keen to say, look, please don't panic and get ahead of ourselves and jump to conclusions. Would that be a message you'd echo?
Most definitely. As I've said, this is an isolated incident. People do need to be vigilant, of course, but this remains overall, a very safe city in which to live. But we're not complacent. We need to do a thorough and professional investigation into the circumstances of this murder, and we will do that. We're very keen to bring those responsible to justice on behalf of the residents of the city.
And have you got any idea on timescales? Apologies if this was in the press release, but I literally just sort of jumped in and not fully aware of the background. So have you got any more details of Mr. Brinkat's movements?
Yeah, the really relevant time with regards to Mr. Brinkat is last Tuesday, the 5th of February. He was last seen alive at his home address at 55 Marlborough House at about 10:15 a.m. in the morning. So we're keen to speak to anybody who may have seen him after that time, or indeed before that time, just to tie down his movements. Clearly his movements with regards to this investigation is going to be key to how we take it forward.
Did you say where was he when he was seen at that time?
That was actually in his home address at 55 Marlborough House.
He was found in his home address, was
Yes.
it? Does that lead you to think that he probably knew whoever killed him?
I think we've got to keep a really open mind as to who could be responsible for this, but clearly that's going to be a line of inquiry that Mr. Brinkat actually knew that the individual or those people responsible for his murder, yes.
You mentioned the CCTV. Is there fairly comprehensive footage to go through?
There's comprehensive CCTV actually in Marlborough House, and likewise there's comprehensive CCTV in the locality around the premises. So clearly that is going to be a detailed line of inquiry, and there's a lot of work to be undertaken in that area. Yeah.
And I think it's important just to emphasise there as well that work will be supported by our local neighbourhood team,
Yeah.
that have a lot of really good contacts and understanding of that local community. So they will be supporting the specialist detectives with that work.
Okay, any further questions?
I'm just wondering whether you have a photograph of the deceased man at all that we could use.
That's a very good question. We don't at the moment, but I will make sure we get one for you. Ian, perhaps if we could do that.
ASAP.
That's,
Make it available.
Does he have close family in the area, or is he sort of, you know?
At the present time, we're still trying to ascertain his immediate family tree, and we think there are non-immediate family within the area, but his immediate family actually live abroad.